Welcome back on part 2 of Sony. Anyways, let's continue.
Sony has historically been notable for creating its own in-house standards for new recording and storage technologies instead of adopting those of other manufacturers and standards bodies. While its success in the early years owed to a smooth capitalization on the digital compact cassette standard introduced by Philips, with which Sony went on to enjoy a decades-long technological relationship in various areas.
Sony, either alone or with partners, has introduced several of the most popular recording formats, including the 3.5-inch floppy disk, compact disc and Blu-ray disc.
Sony introduced U-Matic, the world's first video cassette format, in 1971, but the standard was unpopular for domestic use due to the high price.
The company subsequently launched the Betamax format in 1975.
Sony was involved in the videotape format war of the early 1980s when they were marketing the Betamax system for video cassette recorders against the VHS format developed by JVC.
In the end, VHS gained critical mass in the marketplace and became the worldwide standard for consumer VCRs.
Betamax is, for all practical purposes, an obsolete format.
Sony's professional-oriented component video format, called Datacam, which was derived from Betamax, was used until 2016. When Sony announced it was stopping production of all remaining 1.5-inch videotape recorders and players, including the digital Datacam format.
In 1985, Sony launched their Handycam products in the Video 8 format.
Video 8 and the follow-on iBand i8 format became popular in the consumer camcorder market.
In 1987, Sony launched the 4mm DAT or digital audio tape as a new digital audio tape standard. Sony held a patent for its proprietary Trinitron until 1996. Sony introduced the Truaminos display, the company's proprietary color reproduction enhancing technology, in 2004, featured in the world's first LED backlit LCD televisions.
It was widely used in other Sony's products as well, including computer monitors, laptops, and smartphones.
In 2013, Sony released a new line of televisions with an improved version of the technology which incorporated quantum dots in the backlight system.
It was the first commercial use of quantum dots.
In 2012, the company revealed a prototype of an ultrafine RGB LED display, which it calls a crystal LED display. Sony used the compact cassette format in many of its tape recorders and players, including the Walkman, the world's first portable music player.
Sony introduced the mini-disc format in 1992 as an alternative to Philips' DCC or digital compact cassette and as a successor to the compact cassette.
Since the introduction of mini-disc, Sony has attempted to promote its own audio compression technologies under the Attract brand against the more widely used MP3.
Until late 2004, Sony's network Walkman line of digital portable music players did not support the MP3 standard natively.
In 2004, Sony built upon the mini-disc format by releasing iMD.
iMD allows the playback and recording of audio on newly introduced 1 GB iMD discs, in addition to playback and recording on regular mini-discs.
In addition to saving audio on the discs, iMD allows the storage of computer files such as documents, videos, and photos. In 1993, Sony challenged the industry standard Dolby Digital 5.1 surround sound format with a newer and more advanced proprietary motion picture digital audio format, called SDDS, Sony Dynamic Digital Sound.
This format employed 8 channels, 7.1 of audio, opposed to just 6 used in Dolby Digital 5.1 at the time.
Ultimately, SDDS has been vastly overshadowed by the preferred DTS, digital theater system, and Dolby Digital standards in the motion picture industry.
SDDS was solely developed for use in the theater circuit. Sony never intended to develop a home theater version of SDDS.
Sony and Philips jointly developed the Sony Philips Digital Interface Format, S/PDIF, and the High Fidelity Audio System SACD.
The latter became entrenched in a format war with DVD audio.
Still, neither gained a major foothold with the general public.
CDs have been preferred by consumers because of the ubiquitous presence of CD drives in consumer devices until the early 2000s, when the iPod and streaming services became available.
In 2015, Sony introduced LDAC, a proprietary audio coding technology which allows streaming high-resolution audio over Bluetooth connections at up to 990 kilobits per second at 32 bits/96 kilohertz.
Sony also contributed it as part of the Android open source project starting from Android 8.0 Oreo, enabling every OEM to integrate this standard into their own Android devices freely.
However, the decoder library is proprietary, so receiving devices require licenses.
On 17 September 2019, the Japan Audio Society, JAS, certified LDAC with their high-res audio wireless certification.
Currently the only codecs with a high-res audio wireless certification are LDAC and LHDC, another competing standard. Sony demonstrated an optical digital audio disc in 1977 and soon joined hands with Philips, another major contender for the storage technology, to establish a worldwide standard.
In 1983, the two companies jointly announced the compact disc, CD.
In 1984, Sony launched the Discman series, an expansion of the Walkman brand to portable CD players.
Sony began to improve performance and capacity of the novel format.
It launched Write-Once optical discs, WO, and magneto-optical discs, which were around 125 megabytes size, for the specific use of archival data storage, in 1986 and 1988 respectively. In the early 1990s, two high-density optical storage standards were being developed. One was the Multimedia Compact Disc, MCD, backed by Philips and Sony, and the other was the Super Density Disc, SD, supported by Toshiba and many others.
Philips and Sony abandoned their MCD format and agreed upon Toshiba's SD format with only one modification.
The unified disc format was called DVD and was introduced in 1997. Sony was one of the leading developers of the Blu-ray optical disc format, the newest standard for disc-based content delivery.
The first Blu-ray players became commercially available in 2006.
The format emerged as the standard for HD media over the competing format, Toshiba's HD DVD, after a 2-year-long high-definition optical disc format war. Sony's laser communication devices for small satellites rely on the technologies developed for the company's optical disc products. In 1983, Sony introduced 90mm microdiskettes that are known as 3.5-inch, 89mm floppy disks, which it had developed at a time when there were 4-inch floppy disks and many variations from different companies to replace the then ongoing 5.25-inch floppy disks.
Sony had great success and the format became dominant.
3.5-inch floppy disks gradually became obsolete as they were replaced by current media formats.
Sony held more than a 70% share of the market when it decided to pull the plug on the format in 2010.
In 1998, Sony launched the memory stick format, the flash memory cards, for use in Sony lines of digital cameras and portable music players.
It has seen little support outside of Sony's own products, with secure digital cards, SD, commanding considerably greater popularity.
Sony has made updates to the memory stick format with Memory Stick Duo and Memory Stick Micro.
The company has also released new SD flash drive products, branded under the Micro Vault line.
Sony introduced Celica, a contactless IC card technology primarily used in contactless payment, as a result of the company's joint development and commercialization of near-field communication, NFC, with Philips.
The standard is largely offered in two forms, either chips embedded in smartphones or plastic cards, with chips embedded in them.
Sony plans to implement this technology in train systems across Asia. In 2019, Sony launched the Filters, the company's proprietary low-power wide-area wireless communication (LPWAN) standard. Until 1991, Sony had little direct involvement with the video game industry.
The company supplied components for other consoles, such as the sound chip for the Super Famicom from Nintendo, and operated a video game studio, Sony ImageSoft.
As part of a joint project between Nintendo and Sony that began as early as 1988, the two companies worked to create a CD-ROM version of the Super Famicom, though Nintendo denied the existence of the Sony deal as late as March 1991.
At the Consumer Electronics Show in June 1991, Sony revealed the Super Famicom with a built-in CD-ROM drive that incorporated Green Book technology or CDI. Called PlayStation, also known as SNES-CD.
However, a day after the announcement at CES, Nintendo announced that it would be breaking its partnership with Sony, opting to go with Philips instead but using the same technology.
The deal was broken by Nintendo after they were unable to come to an agreement on how revenue would be split between the two companies.
The breaking of the partnership infuriated Sony president Norio Oga, who responded by appointing Kutaraji with the responsibility of developing the PlayStation project to rival Nintendo. At that time, negotiations were still ongoing between Nintendo and Sony, with Nintendo offering Sony a non-gaming role regarding their new partnership with Philips.
This proposal was swiftly rejected by Kutaraji, who was facing increasing criticism over his work with regard to entering the video game industry from within Sony.
Negotiations officially ended in May 1992, and in order to decide the fate of the PlayStation project, a meeting was held in June 1992, consisting of Sony president Oga, PlayStation head Kutaraji, and several senior members of Sony's board.
At the meeting, Kutaraji unveiled a proprietary CD-ROM-based system he had been working on, which involved playing video games with 3D graphics to the board.
Eventually, Sony president Oga decided to retain the project after being reminded by Kutaraji of the humiliation he suffered from Nintendo.
Nevertheless, due to strong opposition from a majority present at the meeting as well as widespread internal opposition to the project by the older generation of Sony executives, Kutaraji and his team had to be shifted from Sony's headquarters to Sony Music, a completely separate financial entity owned by Sony, so as to retain the project and maintain relationships with Philips for the MMCD development project, which helped lead to the creation of the DVD.
In 2021, the WIPO's annual review of the World Intellectual Property Indicators report ranked Sony as ninth in the world for the number of patent applications published under the PCT system.
1,793 patent applications were published by Sony during 2020.
This position is up from their previous ranking at 13th in 2019, with 1,566 applications. We will continue about Sony on part 3, so stay tuned for more parts.